A dramatic shift is underway in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Department of the Interior has announced a strict no-tolerance policy targeting homeless encampments on federal parklands. This marks a sharp departure from previous more lenient approaches, replacing social services with law enforcement. The Trump administration frames this as a city beautification effort. But for the unhoused, it's a sudden, life-altering crackdown. Even before the official announcement, U.S. Park Police had already cleared dozens of encampments, signaling the seriousness of this new rule. The policy isn't just about removing tents, it redefines homelessness as a matter of public order and property protection. Secretary Doug Burgum has vowed to prosecute anyone damaging federal property, linking homelessness to criminality. For those living in places like McPherson Square and Foggy Bottom, the policy leaves few options, forcing them into shelters or out of public view. The human impact is immediate and profound, reshaping the daily struggle for survival. This is not just a policy change, it's a fundamental shift in how the city treats its most vulnerable residents. The message is clear: visible homelessness will no longer be tolerated on federal land. The consequences for those affected are only beginning to unfold. The heart of the new policy is a stark ultimatum: accept shelter placement or face arrest. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt made it clear, there's no middle ground. This approach criminalizes homelessness in public spaces, transforming outreach into enforcement. Multi-agency teams including the FBI, Secret Service, and DC Police now lead encampment clearings, treating them as security operations. Many avoid shelters due to safety concerns, strict rules, or fear of separation from loved ones or pets. The policy doesn't address these realities, offering a one-size-fits-all solution. For some, the choice between an unsuitable shelter and jail isn't a real choice at all. The threat of arrest adds a punitive layer, risking criminal records that make escaping homelessness even harder. Critics warn this enforcement-first strategy could deepen poverty and alienate those most in need. The message to the unhoused: comply or be criminalized. This is a profound change in how the city and the country views its homeless population. The cycle of displacement and criminalization may only worsen. The stakes for DC's most vulnerable have never been higher. The new federal policy is a complete reversal from DC's previous approach. The city once prioritized a service-led model, clearing encampments only when safety or health risks demanded it. Outreach workers would spend weeks building trust, connecting people to shelter, housing, and health services. The old system, though imperfect, aimed for support and resolution, not just removal. Now the Department of the Interior's zero-tolerance rule eliminates case-by-case assessments. Any encampment on federal land is now subject to immediate removal, regardless of circumstances. This shift sidelines local agencies and nonprofits, creating a patchwork of conflicting policies across the city. The federal government's unilateral crackdown overrides DC's established methods in key areas. The new logic is simple and harsh. Encampments must go, and residents must choose shelter or jail. The focus is no longer on helping people, but on erasing their presence. The city's most visible homelessness is now a federal law enforcement issue. The Trump administration justifies the crackdown as a beautification effort, restoring order and improving the city's image. The presence of encampments is framed as a blight, overshadowing the deeper issues of housing and poverty. Secretary Burgum links the policy to crime prevention, vowing strict prosecution for property damage. This rhetoric equates homelessness with lawlessness, justifying aggressive enforcement. Public reaction is sharply divided. Supporters see the policy as overdue, reclaiming parks for residents and tourists. Critics, including advocates and civil liberties groups, call it cruel and counterproductive. They argue it ignores root causes like lack of affordable housing and mental health care, and simply displaces the problem. The debate is about more than tents. It's about how society chooses to treat its most vulnerable. For many, this is not beautification, but the criminalization of poverty. The city's image may improve, but at what human cost? As the last encampments are cleared, the fate of DC's homeless remains uncertain. The shelter system faces a surge of new residents, many with complex needs. If shelters are overwhelmed, arrest may become the default outcome for those who can't comply. The policy may make homelessness less visible, but it risks scattering people into more dangerous, isolated places. Outreach and support could become even harder, deepening the crisis. The nation is watching. Will this become a model or a cautionary tale? The true test is whether the city's beautification comes at the expense of its most vulnerable. The story doesn't end with the last tent. For many, it's just beginning. The future of DC's homeless, and the city's conscience, hangs in the balance.